Hi, thanks for joining me for another episode of Quick Business Tips. Today, we are going to talk about hiring someone to help you with your marketing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Can't I just throw some money at Facebook ads and call it a day? You absolutely can, but that's like trying to go fishing and not putting any bait on your hook. There's a possibility that you'll find that one stupid fish that's going to wrap his mouth around an empty hook, but most likely you're just going to end up frustrated. However, you can end up just as frustrated if you hire the wrong person to support you in your marketing efforts. So, whether you decide to reach out to a freelancer on Fiverr or OfferUp, you hire a full-blown marketing agency, or you're looking to bring someone in-house as a full-time employee, the wrong hire is going to cost you a ton of time, money, and just give you nothing but headaches. So today we're going to talk about some red flags to look out for when you are thinking about hiring for some support. We're going to go way beyond the normal, check for references, call past clients, and dig deep today. First, I think it's important to talk about why this matters. It's more than just saving time and not wasting your money. Your marketing is really the lifeblood of your business. And if it's not, it certainly should be. It should be how you are attracting new clients, and bad marketing can be a financial drain, damage your reputation, and set your business back months. Now, I have been with clients who really had to learn this the hard way. They've hired social media gurus, ad experts, even full-blown marketing agencies that haven't done their job well. One story in particular was a client who hired this social media guru that promised the moon, an explosion in engagement, and what they ended up doing was charging a whole lot of money, posting a bunch of generic content, used very spammy tactics, and ultimately alienated this company's audience. When they hired me on, it took a long time, but we were able to repair the damage, and the company did get to learn a very valuable but expensive lesson. And now, because of their work with me, they understand social media better, what works, why it works, and why it's important to do it well. So that's the why. Here's the first red flag to look for. It is that yes man or yes woman. This is the person who agrees with absolutely everything you say. Now, if you were the marketing expert, you wouldn't need to hire someone. So the fact that someone is just agreeing with absolutely everything is probably not a good sign. You might think to yourself, this is awesome. I've got someone who understands me. They see my vision. They want to do it my way. And that can feel good at the beginning. But when marketing is done well, it is a collaborative process. And for collaboration to work well, you really need someone who's going to challenge you, push you, offer constructive criticism, and bring their own expertise to the table. Yes men are either inexperienced, desperate for your business, or simply not invested enough to offer their own opinion. What you really need in your business is a partner, not someone who's going to act more like a puppet. Think of it this way. You probably wouldn't hire a fishing guide who's just going to agree with every lure that you want to throw out there. Because if you're trying to catch a trout and you're using a deep sea fishing rig, you're not going to get very many fish. When you're looking for a marketer, what you're really wanting is a guide who's going to say, hey, That's not working. Here's why. Let's try to do this instead. Red flag number two is that jargon overload type of person. This person only speaks in a language that other marketers understand. They throw out acronyms like SEO, PPC, CTR, ROI, KPI, and they never explain what it means, even when you ask. Now, marketing jargon is not bad in and of itself. But if someone can't or won't take the time to explain the marketing concepts that they are strategizing with you on, then that can be a pretty big warning sign. It might mean that they're trying to impress you with their knowledge, which typically means that they don't have a lot of knowledge, or they simply don't understand the concepts well enough themselves to explain it to you on a level that you would understand. Also possible that they're just trying to keep you in the dark so that you remain dependent on them and continue to pay them their monthly fee. It's also important to point out that effective communication is the powerhouse of any successful marketing strategy. So if your marketing guide can't communicate with you, how are they going to communicate effectively with the people that you are trying to sell to? Red flag number three is those marketers that are just obsessed with vanity metrics. They're fixated on likes, followers, and other superficial metrics that don't necessarily translate into sales. Now, it's really nice to have a large social media following, but if those followers are not engaging and converting into paying customers, then who cares? It's like having this gigantic high-end storefront, but nobody's coming inside, or if they are, they're not actually buying anything before they turn around and leave. A good marketer is going to understand that the ultimate goal of everything they do is to drive leads, sales, and revenue. They want to focus on the metrics that matter, like conversion rates, customer lifetime value, and getting you a return on your investment with them. So before I move on, let me ask you this question. What is one marketing metric that maybe you've been told by someone who's an expert or a colleague that is really important, but you secretly suspect it might really be a vanity metric? Let me know below, shoot me an email, DM me on any of the socials. I really want to hear your thoughts and maybe even any questions that you have that would fit in well for a future episode. Flag number four is the one-size-fits-all approach. And I see this a lot with marketing agencies. This is the person or business that uses the same cookie cutter strategies for every client, no matter what their industry is, who they're trying to sell to, or what their goals are. This is the thing that has worked for them in the past, has worked for clients that they've used, and they're comfortable with it. So it's just what they're always going to do because they've always done it. The reality is that every business is unique. You know that probably better than anybody else. And what works for a local bakery probably isn't going to be the exact same thing that works for a tech startup. A good marketer is going to take the time to understand your specific business, your ideal client, and your goals before developing a customized strategy. Here's another way to think of it. You wouldn't wear the same outfit to a wedding, a job interview, and on a fishing trip, right? So if you wouldn't do that, why would you use the exact same approach for three completely different businesses when it comes to marketing? Red flag number five is lack of curiosity. This is the person who doesn't ask questions, doesn't research your business, and pretty much doesn't seem interested in learning about you or what your needs are. Marketing is about having a deep understanding to the audience that you are trying to sell to. And that requires a lot of curiosity. A good marketer is going to ask a ton of questions. They're going to research industry trends and they're going to try to get inside the minds of your clients. They're a little bit like detectives. They're always looking for clues that are going to help them craft more effective marketing campaigns. So if your marketing help isn't asking questions, they're either not interested or they think they already know everything. And both of those scenarios are big red flags. Red flag number 6 is the results promise that you know deep down inside is too good to be true. This is the person who guarantees that you will double your sales in 30 days, or you'll get 10,000 followers in the next 7 days. Marketing is not magic. It takes time, effort, and well thought out strategy, plus a lot of testing and re-optimizing before you're going to see some incredible results. And anybody who promises you overnight success is either delusional or they're trying to scam you. A good marketer will be upfront about the fact that it takes time to get results. They'll set realistic expectations and focus on building a sustainable long-term strategy. We all know if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So don't fall for it, no matter how good they make it sound. I am a positive person and I want to focus on the unicorns and how to spot them just as much as we talk about the red flags. So here's a few things to look for. You want to look for a marketer who asks insightful questions. They're genuinely curious about your business, your goals, and the people that you're trying to sell to. They listen way more than they talk. They want to understand you instead of showing off their expertise and their knowledge. You want to look for someone who can explain complex concepts clearly. They avoid any jargon that you are not familiar with, and they're able to speak to you on your level, whatever level that is. They're not always talking way over your head. You want to look for someone who focuses on the results that matter. They're not obsessed with vanity metrics. They're focused on driving leads, sales, and increasing your profits. It's always great if you can find someone who is transparent and honest. Somebody who sets realistic goals and is upfront about what they can and cannot do. They're upfront about what you can expect and what they've seen from other clients and what they've seen 90% of the time from other clients. I have clients that have seen a huge increase after just 90 days, a huge increase in sales after just 90 days. And I've also seen clients where it takes 6 months. A lot of industries are different. It depends on where you're starting from. And I really like to explain that to my clients on a deep level. Look for someone who is constantly learning and adapting. Someone who is going to stay on top of industry trends. They're always taking some kind of course, program, CE, and they are looking for ways to improve not only themselves, but your individual customized strategy. The last thing you want to look for is someone who has a process or a system or a framework. They can show you what this is. They might talk about it as a foundation for how they build their customized strategy. And they can show you the results of how they've gotten past clients from point A to point B. They're not just winging it and making it up as they go along. So what qualities do you look for when you are trying to hire someone to help you with marketing? I'm really curious. I would love to hear. So how can you take all of this and turn it into actions that you can take today? Number one is you need to define your needs. Before you even start talking to other people, get clear on what you need, what your budget allows, and specific tasks, goals, and expectations. By clearly defining these before you start having conversations, you're going to get a lot better information and be able to ask people a lot better questions. You can craft a detailed job description that clearly lays out what you expect them to do and what you are wanting to do yourself in-house, whether it's you or another employee. Because not all marketing agencies and not all contractors do all things. Some of them will not post on social media for you. Some of them will not engage in the comments on social media. Some of them are not comfortable emailing your past clients. So you really need to figure it out because you might think, I hired a marketer, all of these things are done. And if you haven't had that conversation in a really detailed fashion, you might be making some assumptions that don't match up with what they think that they're providing for you. Number three, you can always prepare a list of questions. Use the red flags that we talked about and start asking questions that can easily weed people out. Also goes hand in hand, pay attention to what they are asking you, because that will tell you what their level of comfort is and what their level of interest and engagement is. And finally, you really need to trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Never ignore your intuition in any situation. Limitless Impact Agency, we believe in building long-term relationships with our clients based on trust, transparency, and a shared commitment to success. We're not just another marketing agency. We want to become your partners in growth. We want to take time to understand your business, your goals, and who you really want to sell to and do business with. Then we take all that information and create customized strategies that are going to deliver the results that you're looking for. And that's what we're trying to do for you with Quick Business Tips. We want to provide for you actionable advice that you can use to grow your business and empower you to make great decisions and avoid costly mistakes.